I am, yeah.
Right, let's just make sure. Lads, we're live. How are we doing? Right, let's just make sure.
Glad for the win last night. Glad for the win.
Very much so, pal.
Lads,
very much so.
live.
Welcome to How we doing? Blue Show. Hang on, I've got the feedback here, boys. Let me just turn this off.
Glad for the win last night. Glad for the win.
Yeah, very much so. What's your thoughts on the game then, lads?
Live.
How we doing? Oh, hang on, I've got feedback here. Can you hear that?
Yeah, for the win last night. Glad for the win.
Very much so. Right, that should be done now. There you go.
There you go.
Professional to a T, eh, lads?
Well, so
Right, we are live. How we do it? Sorry.
Oh, that's really loud, that, Dan.
So Dan was able to watch this live as yesterday. I had to actually watch it on its replay later that night because my pass didn't come through. And I think, as I said on our group chat this morning, I think the massive concern for me was certainly that first half performance. That was atrocious. That's some of the worst football I've ever seen Manchester City play, and I include Stuart Pearce's Manchester City in that. We were lucky to go in 1-1 at the break. We were awful. We couldn't string a pass together. There was no urgency. There was no passion. There was nothing.
It was so frustrating to watch. I sat down. I had a pint of Diet Coke. I was like, right, okay, we're gonna absolutely hammer this lot, and I don't know where this false sense of overconfidence came from that we were going to do well and we're going to absolutely smash them, but we just didn't turn up. And I need to hold my hands up and say that, you know how I've supported Ilkay Gundogan, and you know how I will always give a player the benefit of the doubt. He restricted us so much last night from playing the free-flowing game that we normally play. When he came off and Torres and Foden came on, honestly, it was like Old City, and it was like that was one player and two substitutions that made that difference. I don't understand. I just can't get my head around it. Why he played Gundogan for so long.
I've said it before. For me, I think he's just one of Pep's favourites. I think when Gundogan is fit, in Pep's mind, he brings something to that team, which us fans don't really see, but Pep sees. I've always said that if you have a fit Gundogan, Pep plays him. But as everyone was saying when we went live, Dan and I yesterday, so many people on the page were saying, why are we playing two defensive mids again? Because that's kind of what Gundogan is, and that's what his role is.
Yeah.
Why, when we're at home, and I know there's no fans there, but it's our ground, why are we playing still so defensively when that's not our game? Our game is to attack. And you're right, Tom. What was it, 10 seconds from Torres coming on? He scored. We looked a totally different team as soon as we got those more attack-minded players coming on.
I want to talk about this. I want to talk about the Porto game, kind of like from the back, if I can, and then we can move in position wise, and then we can kind of move through the team that way. I think that makes sense from in my head. Is that the first mistake we've seen Ederson make in months and months and months? Because what was he doing with that pass? His head had just gone at that moment, just flitted away somewhere, didn't he? And I originally thought the pass was. I thought the player got a touch on it. That's why Diaz didn't receive the ball, but actually the pass was dreadful.
It was, and I always love it with keepers when they kind of look round and they complain about everyone else that, God, you saw him immediately like, well, what were you thinking? I did it right, you did it wrong, and no, Edison, you didn't. You got that completely wrong. I think you can only put that down to, as you say, he just lost his head for 10 seconds. Yeah. Didn't know what he was doing.
Can I just ask, which is this? Is this their goal you're referring to?
No, the pass that Ederson made, it went straight to their attacking midfield, I think it was. Where it should have gone to Diaz, just in the penalty area.
Oh, I must have missed that. I thought
Attacking
you were very
midfielder
difficult.
just skied it over the bar, thankfully, but it was essentially an open goal, Dan. I mean, it should have
Right.
been. It really, a better player would have stuck that in the back of the net, and I think he just got all excited that, oh my god, I've just been passed the ball by the keeper, and he didn't think, and he just hit it, and he went right over the bar.
It did look like that, didn't it, as well?
Yeah,
Yeah. We'll move on to their goal, Dan, because that came from a couple of errors from us as well, didn't it?
Yeah, I put it down originally to an Edison, mistake. I personally feel, even to this point, Edison could have done better. It's his far side from where the opposition was shooting at. It was across his face. He should have maybe done better. But I said that quite quickly on the night. But then you sort of look at the replays and you realise that Rodri was, albeit the pass from Diaz was poor, but at least he was forward thinking and forward passing rather than just peeing about like we were doing previous to that in the penalty box. Rodri should have done a billion times better leading up to that goal. He let the man run along him, which is fine. Stopped the guy running directly at goal. But then as soon as he started to approach the penalty box, he slowed down and just sort of drifted off. Cancelo could be in that ranks as well, Cancelo, but he stayed goal side of him and tried getting a block in. Rodri just let the player run closer and closer to our penalty box. It's like freelance doing it as much as he wants. So as much as it was sloppy play, Rodri was the one to blame for me for that.
The more games Rodri plays in a blue shirt, the more games I realise that he's not Fernandinho. And that
Yeah,
really
without
worries
doubt.
me. That really worries me. At what point are we going to start saying we need a defensive midfielder?
Yeah.
Because we have got, but the thing is, we've got Gundogan and we've got Rodri in that position. So Pep's not going to buy in that area.
No, I still feel Rodri can do a job. I mean, we saw it last season. Rodri was, some people say average, but you got to remember his first year in England, and he was only 23 when he signed.
Well, I don't know if you remember the pod, but I actually earmarked him as my player to watch this year. I'm really looking forward to watching him. I thought he did all right last season for his first season, and I was expecting him to go on a different level, but he's not done it yet. And don't suppose anybody has actually. It might be a bit unfair to him that because there's been no pre-season. It's a bit of a weird season this year, isn't it? So maybe I'm being a bit unfair on Rodri there.
He's got the potential. From the last year, especially, you can see why we bought him. I have to agree. I still don't see him as a Fernandinho replacement, but at the same time, it's like the Aguero situation. Who can really replace him? We're talking about one of the greatest defensive midfielders ever to grace the Premier League. So, give him time. Give him time.
We'll come on to Fernandinho in a moment. Kyle Walker is my best signing under Pep. I think I'm going to have to go out on a limb and say that. What an absolute star he is. If we could only find one like him on the left back, please, that'd be great. But do you know what? He's actually becoming one of my favourite players in the team.
Yeah.
What do you think, Dave?
I think he's an excellent player, and I think almost the Cancelo signings has pushed him on, to be perfectly honest. That Cancelo is a world-class player, an international, and he's not been able to push Walker out of that right-back spot. And now what Cancelo has to do is effectively learn a new role as left-back. And I think he's going to be fine there, and I don't think he minds. But that's how good Walker has been, that he's just raised his game to an absolute another level. And yeah, I agree with everyone who's saying he was our man of the match last night. That goal that they scored, the only one out of the defence who can not hold their hands up and say they made a mistake is probably Walker. Everyone else in that defence, as Diaz kind of pointed out actually in an interview afterwards, that collectively it was his mistake, and I think he kind of fessed up to that to a degree. But he said, collectively we weren't good enough as a defensive unit to defend that goal. The only one who can come out of that with any credit is Walker. Because Walker really wasn't his fault in any way, shape, or form, but everyone else, defensive mids, and Garcia and Diaz and Cancelo, they couldn't get near him. So Walker, for me, was by far the best player last night, and he's probably been our best player this season. I know we're only 4 or 5 games in, but he's been absolutely fantastic. He just seems to be getting better and more of a leader as well, which is, of course, what we are desperately crying out for.
It's not often you look at a right back and think, actually, do you know what? He's probably in the top 3 names you put on the team sheet.
Yeah.
It's his position to lose now. And to be fair to Cancelo, I mean, I like Cancelo. He can run with the ball. He can make good tackles. He didn't have the best game he had last night, but I'd start him at left back over the other options we have at left back at the moment. What do you think, Dan?
I think he's in truth got a bit of competition himself with Ake. If I'm perfectly honest, you've got to think when Laporte comes back for injury, Garcia looks like he's going to be playing this season against many City fans, including my own, who don't want him to start. But the past 2 games Ake's played have been more primarily left-sided centre-back to left-back position, left wing-back in some instances. And I think Cancelo's got to be looking over his boot as well. I do think Cancelo's the better option because I like Ake being more of a centre-back. He's very solid. But Cancelo, I think he's cemented that spot ahead of Mendy any day, and I'd love to see him flourish. I gave him a bit of grief last season via his sportsmanship, but he's earned my trust of the way he's playing. The end of last season and beginning this year, he's really, really starting to turn my head.
Brilliant. Let's move on to defensive midfield. We talked a little bit about Rodri. Gundogan, what a fantastic goal that was. I said to my nephew last night, I said he's going to score it. Because I was absolutely slating him all that point, and I saw him and Mahrez lining up. I thought, right-footed, left-hand side, right footer, he's having this, he's going to score. I said it's going to be like the Brighton game, and he did. And it was a brilliant goal, and he got substituted straight away, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah. It's a funny one, isn't it, with Gundogan? Because I know we've just been talking about him, but I still feel that this is Pep who is telling him, this is how I want you to play tonight. I think he's so much more, such a better player when he's more of an attacking midfielder. When he's, the Frank Lampard role of running in, for those tap-ins, that goal he scored against United a couple of years ago, that 53 pass move or whatever it was. That's more of his natural game, but I think Pep. I don't know if it's Pep saying, "Okay, Gundogan, you're the one with the experience. I want you to stick with Rodri and still teach him the ropes." I don't know if that's what it is, but I think Pep's essentially saying to Gundogan, "No, this is how I want you to play the game. I trust you to be more of a holding midfielder rather than I know you'd like to keep running." Getting onto the end of balls, but I don't want you to do that. And I honestly think this is Pep telling him to do a specific job rather than Gundogan being off the boil. I might be wrong, but that's the way I see it. Because Tom, to your point, when given the opportunity, Gundogan can do things like he did last night, which was, if that was Messi or Ronaldo, my God, you'd never be hearing any. The end of it, with a free kick like that he scored, it was absolutely sublime.
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? Because Pep's always going to play him when fit. Nothing else to add, really, is there, from that point of view? What's your thoughts on the attacking midfield options we had last night, Dan?
Well, for once, we're starting to be quite plentiful in that position, aren't we? I mean, Bernardo Silva's came off a very, very my man had a match performance against Arsenal, and it's just something different about our attacking midfield this year. We bang on about the strikers, we bang on about the defensive signings and stuff like that, but we sort of forget the quality that we've got in our team, such as Bernardo Silva, such as Foden. I know he came on who played a beautiful assist pass to find Ferran Torres. I don't know there's just something about them now. I don't know whether it's because we're starting to see more of them and think more of the attacking midfielders. Now David Silva's left, but there's just something about that team last night. Yes, we were at our best, but just seeing those midfielders, the attacking midfielders, other than Kevin De Bruyne, and knowing that we could still get a job done. And ironically, the game without De Bruyne, we scored more than one goal.
You could tell, couldn't you, last night, that we were crying out for a David Silva or a De Bruyne to take the tempo, to take the game and really run with it. And we just didn't have that player who I felt would be able to put the ball underneath the foot and dictate play. And we badly missed that last night, I thought.
No, that's honestly, Tom, it's almost word for word what I said to Dan last night. If you remember, Dan, while you were commentating on the game, I'm not taking anything away from Bernardo Silva. I think he's a fantastic player, but he's a box to box midfielder. He's not a playmaker. And what he was doing last night was he was here, there, and everywhere, which is great, and that's his game. But what we missed was that if I'd have been Pep, I would have been saying to Bernardo Silva, look, I know you've got a great engine on you, but you also can spot a pass. What I want you to do tonight is get into those areas to receive the ball and ping them into space for the forward players. And hindsight's a wonderful thing. He didn't really do that. He was just his usual game of here, there, and everywhere. And I think it just proved the point that I think we would have been a lot more relaxed and played better last night if Foden had been in that role Bernardo was in, and maybe have Bernardo in Mahrez's position. And I know we're going to get on to our forward players, but I even said to Dan last night, Dan commentated throughout the game. I didn't hear Dan mention Mahrez once in 90 minutes. So I think we were just trying to put a square peg in a round hole last night. I would have had Foden in that role where he's so good as the new David Silva of spotting that pass, like he did for Torres, for his goal, and have that energy of Bernardo instead of Mahrez, who did nout last night.
So the thing with me is with that midfield that there's a particular style. I mean, I'm not Pep, but I kind of wish I could speak to him and just say, can you try this style out? Because I think it would be beneficial for the team. Is have your defensive midfielder in either Rodri or Fernandinho, have your main attacking centre forward, centre attacking midfielder in De Bruyne and Foden up there, and have a consistent player game in, game out of Bernardo Silva running in between those two players, like you said, box to box. But getting the dirty tackles, getting the runs, getting the energy, the pace and everything that stops that direct ball and forces the play out. And then you're able to focus, Rodri is not Fernandinho in terms of winning the ball and getting it forward. But have Bernardo Silva in there, Rodri can win possession, play it off Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva gets up front, plays it to De Bruyne, who can then get a straightforward pass to the attackers. I'd love to see that. Whether it'll happen or not, I don't understand why it happened, because I think that's quite a good tactic. But just something about Bernardo Silva playing in a freelance role, so to speak, like he did against Arsenal, and we'll see world class. The boy's got it. I don't think he's had the chance.
Great to watch as well, isn't he? It's great to watch. Smile on his face, energy. That's all you ask for from any player that you pay money to watch.
Yeah,
it's funny. I've skipped talking about a defender, and it was not on purpose. Garcia. I mentioned a message to you guys when I saw the team sheets yesterday that I was really surprised. I still am surprised Garcia's getting ahead of John Stones and THB, because is his head still here? Is his head still in it? I don't know. He didn't seem the player that I saw. The player I saw last night wasn't the Garcia I saw play was it 5 games last season, Dave?
I don't know. Like we've just seen in the media this morning that Guardiola saying that he's still hoping that he can convince Garcia to stay, and that's exactly what I said last night. Was I think that they still want him there. They still want him in the club. That's why they wouldn't, relinquish that 2 million, that they were a part in the valuation with Barcelona. They have made it very clear that they want Garcia to stay. And, we're not on the training ground. I think Pep Guardiola is looking at this and saying, yeah, Garcia is a better player than Stones. He's a better player than Harwood Bellis right now. I'm gonna play him. And I still think with everything that's happening at Barcelona right now, Messi's probably going to leave at the end of the season. We all know that. I think they're going to be going through a whole new restructure. Does Garcia want to be part of that, or does he want to stay at City and fight for it, particularly if Guardiola signs a new contract as well. I still don't think it's beyond the realms of possibility that Garcia is going to stay.
Crikey, that'll be an interesting one. He needs to pull his socks up though, doesn't he?
Yeah, he didn't have the greatest game last night,
no,
but I made this comment last night, Tom, and I've probably said it on our group chat as well, that at the end of the day, this is a professional player. I don't think that you get a professional player with the opportunity to play in the Champions League who goes in there with the mindset, I'm not going to play at my best because I know I'm pissing off the
especially when
Barcelona
their eyes are on him as well.
This is a professional player, because if he does play that poorly, Pep Guardiola will just not put him in the team again. He's still somewhat putting himself in the shop window. And the other comment I made was about Ronald Koeman. This seems to be more of a Barcelona buy rather than a manager buy. It's Barca who want him back. I've not heard Ronald Koeman really saying much about it, and who's to say that with the finances and everything there, and the more days that go by with Ronald Koeman as manager of Barcelona, and him going to La Masia and looking at the under 23s and under 19s and whatever, what if he spots another central defender in there he wants to play, and all of this, and he just turns around and says, hey, I can save you some money here. We're not going to go after Garcia. We're going to pick this lad from the Barcelona reserves, and we're going to move him into the first team.
Moving on to we've talked a bit about Mahrez. Dan, I know you brushed on Mahrez. How do you think he got on last night?
Well, it was Dave that brought it up, but nothing really. He's increasing my doubt about him. I mean, I had a little rant, didn't I, Dave, last night about Mahrez. Mahrez would be classing as one of the greatest in the current era of Premier League if he learnt how to play the team game. That boy has got bags of quality. He really does, but he is far too greedy.
If he could pass,
decides, if he could pass, if he could cross, if he can find the right man, we'd be looking at double figures already in terms of goals that we've scored, double the amount of goals we've scored with him being in the team. He's just too greedy. He needs to get into his head now that having a pop at a defender and going out for a corner ain't good enough for City. We want to be finding the back of the net. Yes, well done, you got a corner. It's like we did this exact scenario last night, and I remember saying to Dave, and I hope Dave remembers, he won a corner off a defender, having a tame shot, and he walked swaggering his shoulders like this. His head was bouncing like, yeah, I've just won us a corner. I've just won us a corner. Big deal. We're a team that can't score from corners. What's I'm pretty sure we ended up playing it short anyway, so and nothing came of it. But he's really picking at my bones right now, and I'm not liking him as much as when he signed, and he's digging his hole for a lot of City fans, in my view.
Okay, Dave,
totally agree.
Captain Sterling, what's your thoughts?
Well, not his greatest game.
Felt a bit sorry for him last night. He was a bit isolated, wasn't he?
Yeah, but I think he got roughed up by Pep, as in not Pep Guardiola, Pep the Porto captain. I mean, he was all over him. How Pep didn't get a red card for some of those challenges on him last night, I think that was
horrible, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think that's what the Porto manager had said, that, the danger man, Aguero's obviously coming back from injury. He's always going to be dangerous, but the danger man for Manchester City this season so far is Sterling. And I think between the captain and the Porto manager, they said, right, our goal is to completely try and contain Sterling. And I think they did a decent job of it. I mean, Pep's 36 now, seasoned professional. And he knew what to do to maybe knock Sterling off his game a little bit. I don't think he had his worst game. He was okay. I'm just glad he came out of the game injury-free, to be perfectly honest, and he's going to be okay for the weekend, because that's, you're talking about names on the team sheet. You put Sterling right up there with Walker, to be perfectly honest, right now, our top goal scorer. He's fantastic. He just didn't have quite the best game last night.
Okay, no, fair enough. Sergio hit a milestone last night, 40 goals in Champions League games. 40 goals in 72 games in the Champions League. He's 14th now in the top goal scorers. The penalty, crikey, I'm glad he hit that hard. That was a twitchy bum moment for everybody watching, wasn't it? But he scored. That's the main thing. I don't really care how it goes in as long as it hits the back of the net. That's all I'm bothered about. But the BBC were asking the question this morning: can he be classed as a Champions League great? And he can't, can he? The question can't be asked. It really can't. And I'm surprised the BBC have asked that type of question, because it's. You look at the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo, 170 games, 130 goals. Messi, 144 games, 116 goals. Raul, 142 games, 71 goals. He's not won enough games for us in the Champions League. He's not won the Champions League, so I'll answer that straight away. BBC, I love Sergio Aguero more than any City fan, or just as much as any City fan, but he's nowhere near a Champions League great.
No, Premiership great, top 3, top 5, quite easily. Best goals to games ratio better than Shearer, better than Henry, or anyone like that. But no, at that level, it's about, Tom, to your point, how do you impact a game? Did he go to Real Madrid at the Bernabeu in the semi-final when Pellegrini was manager, and did he make a difference? No, he didn't. And that's what sets these players apart in those big moments. Do they come up? And we're kind of getting off topic, but that's my argument always with Lionel Messi. Diego Maradona will always be the best player in the world for me, because on the greatest stage in the world, he actually did it. And and Argentina won the World Cup in '86. Lionel Messi had the absolute opportunity in that World Cup final against Germany to be probably the best player of all time, and he had a shite game. He couldn't get into the game, and that's what sets those two apart just slightly, in my opinion. He didn't step it up, and Aguero was in that game too. Aguero didn't step it up. So you just can't call those players who don't have those magic moments a great.
We had a situation where another injury again last night, and lads, we've spoken about before. And at what point is somebody going to ask the question about the training that goes on in the back door, the stretching conditioning that goes on in the back rooms at City, in the back doors at City? Because Fernandinho came on with 5 minutes to go, 10 minutes to go, something like that. Pulled up an injury, now he's out for another 6 weeks. Something. Is it only City this happens to, where we get so many injuries? Do other clubs have this as well, where there's so many injuries?
Well, according to all the media, Liverpool have lost 2 players their injury hit, aren't they?
Of course, they're ravaged.
Yeah, apparently they're even asking for emergency defenders. Yeah, but no, I mean, we discussed it quite in depthly, didn't we, Dave, last night? It's to the point where Laney put up the argument: is it just the same players that are injury prone? You could argue that, but these players are only having half a game to a game and then going out injured for even longer periods than what they're out originally for. But it's also the little niggles that we keep having. Fernandinho, like you said, he'd only come on for the final 5-10 minutes and picked up a muscle injury. Something's not right in terms of fitness, in terms of relaxation, in terms of recovery from a game. You could throw fitness into that. Fernandinho's not been in the starting lineup for, I think, about 3 or 4 games now, hasn't he? There's got to be something that's happening. And like Dave said, bring Paul Lake in. He'd have that physio and just the whole medical side of it all ship shape. I'll let Dave continue from there, because Dave was passionate about it last night.
Our mate Paul, fan of the show.
Yeah, I think you've got a qualified physio who, me and Dan Halifax talked to Brian Horton a few weeks ago, and Brian Horton saw what Paul Lake would do and took him with him as a physio. I think when he was at Macclesfield, I think he's worked with Sam Allardyce, I believe, at Bolton as well. He's worked for a few clubs, but this is Paul Lake, an absolute City legend who is so passionate about Manchester City anyway. From my standpoint, why not bring him into the club? Everyone agrees that we need to do some kind of investigation here as to what's going on, because this is too much. So why not bring in a qualified professional, which Paul Lake is, someone who is passionate about the club and only wants what's best for them. Give him a week. Say, right, find out what's going on Paul from top to bottom. How are the physios reacting to the injuries? What are they doing? What's the progress like? What program are they building for all these players who are injured? What is the medicals like at Manchester City Football Club when we sign a player? How far are we going back into these players' injury records? How long is it taking them to recover from previous injuries? I think it just needs to be looked at top to bottom. And someone like Paul Lake would be able to do that and just provide a report and say, you know what? Here's where I think you're going wrong, and here's what we need to change. But because it can't keep happening. Because you just know, everyone got so nervous last night. When Aguero took the elbow to the face, albeit by players, that shit, he's gone again.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to happen. I said before the season started, if we get 20 games out of Aguero, I'll be happy with that. But I shouldn't be. But just because of the nature of our injury records, what is going on? There's something inherently wrong at Manchester City Football Club that they need to put the finger on and get this sorted out.
Well,
Virgil van Dijk only got injured because of Pickford. It wasn't, to Dan's point, this wasn't just someone running on like Fernandinho, just running onto the pitch and pulling up with an injury. There's something going on at City, and it needs to be sorted out.
Yeah.
Here, and I completely agree with you. A very quick one, man of the match for last night.
Walker.
And
I'll make this point about Walker as well, and it's maybe about a lot of other players as well. So Walker was 30 in May, and you do see sometimes with professional players when they hit that mark and then they begin to realize, okay, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel now, so to speak, that I've got maybe 2, 3, 4 years left at the top level. I think that's had an impact with Kyle Walker as well, knowing that he's only going to be playing at this level for another 2, 3 years. He wants to get in the Euro 2021 squad, which he will, because he's a Southgate favourite by the looks of it anyway. But I think that's helped Kyle Walker as well, knowing I'm at that 30 mark now. Now I know it's that way, not that way in my career. And I think he's just stepped it up another level. I think he's going to get man of the matches numerous times this season.
Yeah. Well said. Right, moving on to Saturday, 12:30 kickoff, West Ham.
And I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave now.
Okay, pal.
If you want my prediction while you guys continue,
go for it.
I'm going to go nice and negative and then hope for the opposite. West Ham coming off a very, very good second half performance. I'm going to go 3-3.
3-3? What? Crikey.
3.
Gundogan hat-trick. See you later, Dave. See you later, pal.
Take care, pal. Take care. 3-3.
3-3. Crikey, he's a character, isn't he? Saying that. Bloody neck fire.
Dear.
I'm certainly hoping it's not the 3-3 line. What's your thoughts on the game on Saturday?
Well, I don't know is probably the more truthful answer. I mean, we could say Porto was just sort of like a sidestep game. I think most people were expecting us to win that game, with us being home as well. The Arsenal game was a big game, and I think coming off the back of that against a West Ham team that drew 3-0 with Spurs, both teams are going to be gunning for it, but you'd have to fancy West Ham aren't just this little pushover team anymore. No. David Moyes is getting some scrappy results, albeit points in some respects, but he's doing something. There's something about him, that you have to fear. They've turned into a little bit of a Crystal Palace team for me. You should by rights beat them on paper, but you know they're going to be one of them teams that you can still in and out struggle against. And saying that, how many times have we beaten them over the past 5-6 years now? But I don't know if this year's just something different. I'm confident though. I'm always confident in the game.
Let's look at the positive side. I know we've got Fernandinho out, but Kevin De Bruyne and Laporte have both returned to training. Okay. Pep's still a bit unsure if they're fit. I would be extremely surprised if he risks them. Potentially benching. Ake could also return, but Jesus and Mendy remain unfit, and they're definitely not playing. So, will he make changes? Yeah, of course he will. This is Pep Guardiola. Yeah. He'll make at least 5 changes from last night's game. You can pretty much guarantee that, and a formation change as well, probably. And I reckon Sergio will be starting, and he's got a good goal scoring record, and I think he'll go on to, and I think he'll score. Do I want to give a prediction? No. You know what my you know what I'm like with predicting scores. I don't do it anymore.
Oof, I think I've got to go for a nice confident one, don't I?
Come on, let's have it.
I'll do. Well, they're all realistic, man. I know they're 5-0, 6-0, 7-0, but like going back to last year, like I said, the one game I didn't do it, 8-0 Watford. You know, that'll still haunt me to this day. But no, for once, I'm going to be realistic. I'm not that confident that we're not going to concede. Not that confident. I think we'll concede, put it that way. But I still think we'll run out on top. So I'm going to go for a 3-1 victory.
3-1 victory. Right, okay, I'm happy with that. 3-1 and 3-3. So we're scoring 3, according to both of you guys. That's always a positive sign. Right, brilliant. Well, I'm happy with that. We're going to leave it there, mate.
Right, yeah. Just come on, City.
Let's have a chat this weekend, see where we're up to. And I really want to see Ake and Diaz at centre-back this weekend. I want to see them again play.
I think that'll be it. I think it'll be Ederson, Walker, Cancelo, Ake, and Diaz as our back line.
I want to see Torres play. I want to see Foden play.
I think they've earned the right.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I don't really want to watch Gundogan play if he's going to play the same game he played the other night. I don't think you want to see Mahrez play.
Are you joking? You get him in the team. How can we not have Mahrez? We won't ever score.
Oh, amazing. Right, Blue, we'll speak to you very soon. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and have a lovely, lovely evening. It's been Thursday. This is the Manchester is Blue show, and we will speak to you soon.
And don't forget to join us on the game for a live watch along as well. Share your thoughts, and come on, City.
Come on, Blue Boys. Catch you later, pal.
Come on. Take care, pal.
Bye-bye.
Take care.